What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to underwrite a subject to deal with not one, but two liens on it. How do you underwrite, calculate a subject to real estate deal that has a second mortgage? When I was wholesaling or investing, I always came across subject to properties with solar panel liens. I've come across them with HVAC liens. You'll get contractor liens. You'll get all these things that are in second position. But how do you run your numbers? Let me tell you the secret right now before we get into the math. Ask yourself, do you take over these loans or do you pay them off? Because that is going to affect your cash on cash return, your entry fee, all those crazy numbers. So by the end of this, guys, you'll know how to calculate this, and I'm going to show you my special trick to know whether a deal is good or bad. Here we go. I'm going to be using, just to start out, just to give you an idea of what we're up against, my favorite wholesaling software, Deal Machine. If you want to try it, I have a subscription link down in the description below. You can try it for 7 days, absolutely free. Just cancel if you don't like it, but it's amazing. Here, let me show you. So we filtered by properties that are low equity. Insane. We want properties that are low equity. We went to more. We filtered by properties with less than a 3% mortgage. And then we also found properties that have a second mortgage on them, just so I could show you. And here we are in Dallas, Texas. And here, I'm just going to choose this property just to give you an idea of the information we can get, just so we know what we're up against. Property's worth around $580,000. It's a pretty pricey area. They have $65,000 in equity, a little over 10%. We usually want to keep that under 10%. Here we go. The original loan amount is $308,000. It was taken out a few years ago. The interest rate, y'all, is 2.7%. We can pull up more information on this property, and we can see that the estimated loan balance now is $282,000. What's really cool is we could literally click the phone number here and then call the sellers. It's pre-skip trace. All the numbers are right here. But what I want to show you is they have a second lien on the property for $100,000 at a 7% interest rate. So does that ruin the subject to deal? Max, if one interest rate's 7%, but for $100,000 and the other one's 2.7% for a bigger number, what's the actual interest rate? Guys, I'm also going to show you how to calculate a blended rate. This is going to be a super, super helpful video. So let's jump over to our little whiteboard here. And let's do some subject to math. You guys ready? If you guys appreciate this video, you guys want me to do more subject to math videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button and leave me a comment in the description down below. So we have a house, okay? Let's say our house is worth about, like, we're going to buy it for, we're going to buy $550,000. All right. $550,000. Max, is this a good deal? A bad deal? Well, let's figure this out. So it's $550,000. That's a good chunk of change. But there is a loan, a first position loan. That was the weirdest way to write first position. Let me try that again. My brain right now. There's a first position loan for how much, guys? Let's say there's a first position loan for $450,000. Okay? Now that's what it's currently at. Easy numbers, guys. We're going to make this easy. So it's currently at $450,000. And this, we're just going to say it's a 2.7% interest rate. And it's a 30-year loan. All right. So now the original loan balance, it could have been $500,000. So how does that affect numbers, Max? What do I do whether it's original or current? So we're going to say this is current. Okay. Well, what you're going to want to do is, if you can get the mortgage statement, it's a lot better. But if you don't have the mortgage statement, guys, flip over to an amortization calculator. And what you're going to do is, you're not going to put the current loan balance in here. You're going to put the original loan balance. So let's say the original loan balance is actually $500,000. Then you're going to put 30 years, and you're going to put 2.7%, and you're going to calculate, and you'll see that the monthly payments are $2,027.28. For sake of easy numbers, let's just put $450,000 here. And that'll be $1,825. You see how the numbers change a little bit? So you're going to want to go with the original loan balance. Now, is that perfect? No, because you pay off interest early and so on and so forth. But this will at least tell you what the monthly payments are. So let's actually go back with 500,000. And now we know that our monthly payments are $2,028. Okay. Is that PITI? No, that's just principal and interest. So that is our PI, our principal and interest on this first loan is $2,028. Okay, and that's if the original loan balance is 500,000. So OG, this is if the OG loan balance was 500,000. Now, before we calculate the second mortgage, guys, what I like to do is start by really looking at taxes and insurance. You can do this in any order. You guys figure out what's best for you. But when I look at a deal, what do I look at before anything? Before I even look at this original loan balance, what am I usually doing? I'm saying, hey, rent is this much. I usually figure out what rent is. I then try to figure out what taxes and insurance are. And then I start to deal with the loans. Then I start to deal with the PI. And maybe there's going to be another PI. Maybe there's a third PI, right? But that's usually the order I like to do things in. So let's flip over back to Deal Machine. And let's see what this thing would rent for. Okay. So here's our house. It's on 1405 Chickasaw Drive in Richardson. We could comp it, right? We could comp it with Deal Machine. We could spend some time and comp it. Frankly, my favorite comping software, at least here in the state of Texas lately, has been Propelio. I'm just really used to it. So I'm going to use this real quick. Let's plug the address in. And we're going to go to comparables. This is great in a non-disclosure state like Texas where you cannot get all of the information. So we can see, here's our house. This property here is renting for $3,200 and it's a very, very good comp to ours. It's pretty much an exact same property. And is this one pretty nice inside? It's pretty nice inside. That's actually pending at 32. I would say these properties would rent for about 32. I know the area. So I think that's a really good guess. You know, this one rented a little bit cheaper, but it's also, you know, not as nice of a house. Look, like that's not that nice inside. Not that nice inside. So we're going to go with 32 is our rent. Let me flip back over. So we know if it rents for $3,200, what are taxes and insurance? Well, insurance is going to be about maybe like $250 a month. Taxes here, guys, you guys can look up the county taxes. We'll make sure to go fast here. They're going to be about 2% of the assessed value. So I'm going to quickly go to assessed value is $466,000. Now that's going to reassess closer to your purchase price. You got to know your state. So let's just say our purchase price is $550,000, like we said. So we're going to go 550, 1, 2, 3 times 0.02, $11,000 a year divided by 12. We're at $916 a month. That's insane. I'm sure we can get that down. I'm sure we can be like, hey, city, we're paying too much. But for the sake of this, we'll just go with 916 plus insurance, guys. So 900 plus 250, you're at about 1150. So 1150 to a month. And now we got to subtract our PIs. So this would give us a total of $2,050. So in order to break even, we need our PI to be less than $2,050. Well, Max, great news, right? It's $228. So we subtract 2,028. I didn't even mean for this to work out so well. This is all happening on the spot. And that's equal to a cash flow of 22. Now, is that truly cash flow? No, that's cash flow after PITI. I mean, if you really want to look at cash flow, you're going to have to subtract probably 10 to 20% for maintenance, vacancy, capital expenditure, management. But for the sake of this video, we're going to say, hey, Max, we're breaking even, we're making $22. But guys, there's a second mortgage. Guys, by the way, before we continue, before I finish up this math, please check out my free real estate wholesaling Discord, The Wholesalers. We're we're in one of the #1 real estate wholesaling Discords. We have 1,500 members. It's free. I will help you make money wholesaling cash. I have scripts, lists. I literally just skip traced right here 30,000 numbers for you guys. But I also teach you everything you need to know about creative finance. I have creative finance live streams. I have creative finance calculators coming out. I have creative finance scripts and LOIs, and I'll buy your creative finance deals. So someone just submitted me 3 creative finance deals. I'm gonna go check those out right now, and I pay a really good assignment fee. So send me your deals. Join the free Discord group. Link is pinned. It's pinned. It's a pinned. There's that second mortgage. That's a problem. So let's say this second mortgage, guys. The first mortgage was $450,000, 2.7%. It was originally $500,000, 30 years. Guys, this second mortgage, we're going to say this second mortgage is a solar panel lien. Ugh, gross. Okay, and it's $50,000. And it's at it's a low rate, Max. It's a low rate. It's only 4% interest for 30 years. What a great deal. We got solar panels. We're helping the environment. Don't buy solar panels. What a freaking scam. So we're going to go back over to our amortization calculator. We're going to put 50,000, 4% interest, 30 years, $240 a month. We're rounding up, boys and girls. We're rounding up. So $240 a month. I'm not putting that in green because that's disgusting. I'm paying $240 per month in solar panels. What are these worth resale, guys? What do I assess solar panels at? I'm looking at a house like this. Would I value these solar panels at 50 grand? No, I value them at 0. I value them at negative because it costs money for me to get rid of them. I hate solar panels, and investors hate solar panels. Ugh. I'll get in that here in a second. So now we have an option. Now we're facing a situation here, guys. We can take over this lien. We can subject to a second mortgage. We can subject to a third mortgage. We can subject to your mama's mortgage. We can subject to these. So we could have our cash flow, we could be at rent minus TI minus PI minus PI number 2. Or we can bite the bullet and say, hey, I'm going to pay this off. I'm going to take $50,000 of cash or of a hard money lender or a gator lender, and I'm going to pay off this lien. And you need to make that decision. Solar panels suck, so I'll let you make your own decision. Some liens, it may make sense to pay off. I was looking at a subject to property, guys, and the numbers were more like this. There was a second lien, and it was an HVAC lien. Who knew that was a thing? And it was like $10,000. And the interest rate was like 10%. And I was like, dude, I don't really want to pay 10% in interest. I have $10,000 laying in my bank account. I'm just going to pay that off, right? So I was looking just to pay that off. And sometimes it may make sense to pay off these liens. They're contractor liens. Some liens you just have to pay off, right? Look into these liens. But in this situation, we're facing 2 choices. Let's say that we're going to take over this payment. So again, guys, our options are take over a second lien or pay off. You can do either. If we pay off, your cash on cash return will go up, but your entry fee will also go up. Wait. Which actually would cut. No, wait. I'm gonna scratch that. I made a mistake. Your cash flow would go up. Your entry fee would go up, which would then cause your cash on cash return to be undetermined. We'd have to run our numbers, right? So that's something that you would have to determine. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Taking over, your cash flow would go down. Your entry fee would go down, and then your cash on cash return would be undetermined. So you could make the decision by saying, Max, I'm going to run my numbers both ways, and whichever one produces me the highest cash on cash return, I'm going to go with that. That's a very viable, math-centered, intelligent, big brain decision. If you're confused with what I'm saying, I'll get you there. So now we're going to be losing what? $218 a month if we take over. So we take over the second lien, guys. Now we are actually losing $218 per month. You annualize that by 12. I don't know. What are you losing? You're losing like probably like 20. Oh, God. Like 2,700. I don't know. Here, hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Should have used easier numbers. 218 times 12. 2616. That means you're losing $2,616 a year. Now you're actually losing more than that, I promise you, because when you factor in those other things like vacancies, maintenance, capital expenditure, I think you're probably gonna be losing like $5,000 a year. Woo! Subject 2, right? Well, that's the problem with these second liens. So now you're losing $2,600 a year. That's a big fat negative. But Max, maybe this is still a good deal because I'm getting appreciation, tax benefits, and I'm also going to turn this into a pad split, and it's going to end up cash flowing for me. Awesome, right? So it may make sense for you to take over that second lien. Now, let's calculate our entry fee. So that's our cash flow. The next thing we're going to now do, guys, is calculate our entry fee with this option. What is our entry fee? So let's go back over here. We have a $50,000 loan. We have a $450,000 loan. Now we're at $500,000. That means if we're buying it for $550,000, there is $50,000 of equity. That $50,000 from everything I'm seeing here, we're going to pay that cash. So let's go back down. Now our entry fee is $50,000. Is that it? Is that our entry fee, Max? Is just a cash to the seller? No, you should also put in agent fees if you're paying any agent fees. You should also be putting in closing costs. Are you paying the closing costs? Did you convince the seller to pay closing costs? Are you paying an assignment fee? Better add that. Some people get mad at me when I say this, but hey, I would also put repairs in there. Put your repairs in there. There's a lot of things that go into an entry fee, y'all. There's even some more, okay? So make sure you're running your numbers appropriately. But let's just say now, guys, our entry fee is actually $60,000. Some other things that you just probably were never even going to think about. What if you have to do some repairs to the property, it's vacant for a while, and you have holding costs of $5,000? Gotta add that. There's so many things, y'all, so many things, and that's why I need to keep doing videos like this. So this is now our entry fee. And that means that we're negative cash flowing $2,616 a month. So we would divide that by negative $2,616 a month to get our cash on cash return. But we can't even get a cash on cash return because it's negative. It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay. So frankly, this deal, guys, let's just look at it here. Let's take a step back and look at this deal. We're getting a good interest rate, right? Interest rate is good, right, Max? We're getting a 2.7% interest rate. Is that actually right? No, because we're also getting an interest rate of 4%. So what do we call this? This is going to be something we call a blended rate. You need to blend these rates to see the true rate you're getting. Do I just take the average of these? Actually, no, you don't do that, because one is for $450,000 at 2.7% interest, and the other one is at $50,000 at 4% interest. So what do you do? Do some quick math. I'll show you guys how to do this. All right, so we get a blended rate of 2.83%. Max, how did you do that? All you're gonna do, y'all, is take 450,000 times 2.7% plus 50,000 times 4%. And then you're going to get that answer, and then you're going to divide it by these two added together, 500,000. I am so confused, Maxwell. I'm sorry. This is like first grade algebra. That's going to give you a blended rate. So I'll write that out for you guys. It's the first lien amount times first lien rate plus second lien amount times second lien rate. Okay, now you get that, and then you take that answer and then you divide it by, in parentheses, all right? So divide that by the first lien amount plus second lien amount. Am I boring you yet? Bam, that's right. That's how you get that. That's how you get blended rate. You guys are welcome. You guys are welcome. So anyways, we have a interest rate of 2.83%. Max, that's a good rate. It is a good rate. But this deal is still absolute hot dog poop because we have an entry fee currently of $60,000. Is that too much? Seems like a lot. Well, our purchase price of this house is $550,000. So $60,000 is more than 10%. And if you guys know, I created a rule called the 5, 5, 10, 10 rule. And the 5, 5, 10 rule states that the interest rate should be less than 5%. Okay, so the interest rate should be less than 5%. Did we get that? That's a big fat check. We have it. We're at 2.83%. Cool. Max, this is a good deal. No, wait. The cash on cash return should be more than 5%. Did we get that? Well, we're going to see here in a second, but no, we did. We absolutely did not get that. We have a negative cash on cash return. The entry fee, Max, should be greater than 10%. Really? No! It should be less than 10%. Did we get that? No, this deal's over a 10% entry fee. So then the last one is the instant equity should be above 10%. So here I'll put a little minus, here I'll put a plus, here I'll put a plus, here I'll put a minus. And did we get that? Well, we will see. This is TBD. We'll get back to that. So just to recap what I said there, this is your interest rate. This is your big cash on cash. This is your entry fee. And then this is your instant equity. All right, that's my rule. If you find a deal that meets all three of these, send it to me because I'll buy it. That was a terrible. Send that to me. I'm a buyer. I will literally buy that. This works for both subject to and seller financing. So our deal meets this one, but it has a negative cash on cash return. It has a negative, or it has too big of an entry fee, right? So immediately it's just not a good deal. But Max, there's something we can do. Instead, Max, hear me out here. We could, Max, go back up here, and instead of paying or taking over the lien, Max, we can just pay it off. Absolutely. Let's run our numbers now. So we are at $22 in cash flow. Now we're not going to have that $240 a month in expenses. So we're going to cross that out, but we're going to have $50,000 more to our entry fee. So going all the way down, we now have $22 in cash flow a month. $2 a month in cash flow times 12. That's I don't know, like what, $250 a year? So let's say we're at $250 a year. There, I don't know why I crossed out the two. $250 a year in cash flow. And now our entry fee is only $110,000. Well, we get an incredible, huge, giant cash on cash return like I've never seen. It is the biggest cash on cash return. It is gigantic of 0.2%. Is that a good deal? No. That is a terrible deal. 0.2%. That is nowhere near bigger than 5%. But Max, is the entry fee better? No, the entry fee is worse. So we ran it different ways, guys, and pretty much what I determined is that this is just all around a bad deal, right? Can't say that yet because this is the one thing we haven't determined. If the house is worth $1 million and we're buying it for $550,000 and it doesn't cash flow and the entry fee is a bit high, we still have a great deal. But I'm telling you, that's probably not the case, right? So this is just a different ways you can run a deal, guys. And if you're still confused, it's okay. We just got to practice this a lot. But you just run the deal. You base it off of the 5-5-10 rule. You base it off of the cash on cash return. And you just see how the cash on cash return really changes when you either pay off something or you take it over. Pretty much what we determined here is if we take over the lien, we're losing money every month, but our entry fee is around 10%. Okay. Now, if you were to do something creative, if you did a pad split, that may actually be a pretty good option, or an Airbnb, right? Because then you could get your cash flow up and you would still have a moderately good entry fee, which means that you may actually get then a positive cash on cash return. But then paying off that lien, it just ain't worth it. This one just ain't worth it. So the last thing we really have to determine, y'all, is what a house is worth. We would flip back over. You could run these comps on Deal Machine. Absolutely. You know, Deal Machine has, like, it sort of tells you what they think a house is worth. And their estimate's usually pretty close. You know, they say it's worth 578. I think that's a little high. It's actually in a pretty good pocket. I'm thinking closer to 525 depending on condition. So you would usually want to look at like what the condition of the house is. So again, we're going to grab that address, put it into Propelio. We're going to comp it super quick. We don't have any pictures of this house, so it's a little tough to go off of, but let's just say it's turnkey ARV. Okay. Here's a house. Very similar, 1 bedroom less, half a bathroom smaller. And inside was actually not super nice. So yeah, I think Deal Machine was better than me at their numbers today. I think ARV is probably closer to 550, maybe 5. Wow, that one sold. That one looks like shit. Maybe not shit's not the right word. Yeah, I think at 575 ARV. So guys, what does that mean? Let's go back to our calculator or to our thing. We're buying the house at 550. Okay, Max, we're buying the house at 550. Buying the house at 550,000. But Max, once I buy it, it's immediately worth 575. That's awesome. You just got instant equity. You got instant equity of 25,000. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's not a lot. You might think, that's a lot, Max. It's really not, because if you tried to then sell it for 575, you'd lose money after you paid agent fees and closing costs and buyer concessions. So you usually want an instant equity of 10%. And that's just honestly a shield, because selling a house usually costs 10%. So if you immediately need to resell the house, you got into a really bad situation, you needed to panic sell your sub 2 property, you could get out of it and not lose money. That's why I like to look for an instant equity of 10%. It's a buffer. It's a cushion. So what's our instant equity here? 25,000 divided by 550. 25, 1, 2, 3 divided by 550. That's 4.5%. So it doesn't even meet my rule. It's good. It's better than overpaying for a house, but you only get 4.5% instant equity. So if we go back to my 5-5-10-10 rule, this deal, any way we look at it, it has a great rate. But what I want to show you here, guys, is just because a deal is 2% interest rate, 0%, negative a million percent, it doesn't mean it's a good deal. Damn it, guys. It doesn't mean it's a good deal. Stop buying shit because it's a low rate. That doesn't mean it's a good deal. The cash on cash on this deal, any way you shake it, whether you're paying off the loan, taking over the loan, it is shitty. It is shitty. Okay, the entry fee is shitty. It is over 10% no matter what way you shake it. It's shitty. And the instant equity, yes, you get a little bit. That's good. It still is not enough for me to be happy. At least to compensate for how bad everything else is. Okay, like if the interest rate was, let's say, okay. And guys, this is a scale. Interest rate max is 2.83%. Cool. Max, the cash on cash return max is 2%. That's not more than 5%, but okay, that's not bad. It cash flows. Max, the entry fee is 12%. It's over 10%, but that's fine. Max, you know, the instant equity max is instant equity is 8%. Is this a bad deal? It only met one of my rules. It only met this one. Does that mean this is a bad deal? Actually, no. This is actually not a terrible deal, right? You look, don't just look at the rule and say, oh, it doesn't meet the rule, it's bad. Like, see how close it is. Understand the deal. This is really not that bad, right? But the one that we just looked at was garbage. We can get something that cash flows. If we can just find a deal that has a pretty good rate, it cash flows, the entry fee is around 10%, and guys, there's some instant equity, preferably 10%. Dude, that's a good sub 2 deal. You guys, I'm not going to give you financial advice, but that's a good deal to buy, or at least wholesale. You guys can probably make like $10,000 wholesaling that. Send it to me. Right? Now, that's obviously going to depend on price. Higher ARV houses are going to mean that you can get a higher assignment fee. That's just how life works. Just like how realtors make more money when they sell a more expensive house. But what I really want to show you today, guys, is how that second mortgage affects everything. So if this video is helpful, you guys want to see more real estate math videos, more sub 2 math videos. I was supposed to do this in 5 minutes. That took me way too long. Probably a 30-minute video. I'm going to go eat. I got to go run. I got to go do a million things. I love you all so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Sign up for Deal Machine. Try it. Link